Oh boy, I always forget how much easier it is to get this thing hot as hell when we're not dealing with 0 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's firing.
Yeah, I'm already sweating. I'm a pro though. I'm a pro at sweaty.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's what I do in here. I sweat. Man. So as we re-engage in our conversation here, so we got to the point where we've established that sleep is can be the cause of pain, but then also a remedy for pain. Now, once you figured that out, what was the next step for you in regards to, either recognizing pain in your life or seeing a hurdle where, you're just trying to just keep going and try to avoid pain?
Yeah. So for me, it was a lack of sleep was an outcome of a lot of things going wrong. And that deterioration caused more things to go wrong, and the emergence of anxiety, rumination, worry, which really can lead to, as anyone who has anxiety or has experienced it, can really lead to a rapid deterioration of mental health and well-being. And the transition for me was medication, which is something that gave me the ability to sleep and pause and give myself the mental space to put in the work to make everything better holistically. And so I'm not a proponent of throwing medication at things. I'm a holistic wellness type person.
Yeah.
But with that being said, there's a time and place where medication can help, right? Mm-hmm. There's, for disease, and some of these medications for mental health issues really helped me have that pause so that I could install new tools to ultimately learn how to sleep on my own, and get well without all that stuff. Because the anxiety medication that I took made me sleep. And so I took it at night before bed, and it just knocked me out. And that helped me recover for a period of time. And it's probably like, let's say, really a 4-year period where I slowly got better and slowly got better at sleep and slowly got better in other areas so that I could get off the medication. And so I've been off it for a couple of years now, but that was really important. And during that time, things that I did in order to make it so that I could get off and could get normal sleep on my own was, one, change my lifestyle. Adjusted the businesses that I was in, get through a painful divorce, change how I approach my day-to-day life so that I could prioritize sleep, have stress reduction activities, do wind downs in the evening, and then all these 100 other tools to make it so that I could progress in that direction.
Well, so when you started to get on the anxiety medication, did you have a mindset going in that, this is going to be temporary, or, was the doctor who prescribed it, did they set you up with any information like this is the best guideline for this, or was it kind of just like, here's some pills, take this, and report back?
I don't think I had enough. Well, I think I was struggling enough to just be looking for some way out. Mm-hmm. So I didn't overthink it very much. It was, I'm struggling. Things are not going well. I'm not in a good mental state of mind, mentally or physically. So I'm on a bad path. Mm-hmm. And it took real discomfort, real pain, and a couple people that are really close to me to say, you need to get on medication. You need to go see a therapist or a doctor, to ultimately take the step, go and get prescribed. And, I hadn't slept a full night's sleep for a couple weeks at this point, and I was spiraling. And I was supposed to go on a 3-day trip to Scottsdale with my girlfriend at the time. And she was one people that I'm thankful for. She had been pushing me like, you need to do something. And something triggered that day where I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the doctor. And I went to the doctor and got lucky with a general practitioner who had experienced anxiety the way that I had and said, I want you to take mirtazapine, which is what he'd been on. You take it at night. It's going to make you sleep. It's going to help you with your symptoms. And that was it. So I was like, all right, I'll try it, because I would try anything at that point. And so I took it that night in Scottsdale and slept for like 13 hours, like sweated through my sheets, was just out. And then that weekend I was kind of like a groggy zombie-ish. I wasn't very fun. I wasn't the most fun travel mate, but I slept.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I had any kind of plan, but that short-term alleviation of symptoms allowed me to develop a long-term plan. And that involved getting off the anxiety medication only after I was really sure I was able to sleep on my own.
Well, it's like you built up enough sleep credits and enough sleep confidence that it's like, all right, I can take this subtle intervention that I'm aware of and paying attention to and not masking with other things.
Yep.
And you had complete success and you were able to move on from it. That's awesome. That's such an amazing story. I think the main emphasis to put on that is that you were just taking the mirtazapine. You weren't doing mirtazapine plus alcohol, right? Or plus any other substance that you felt would be like a crutch in a sense.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the journey towards, from then to today, which it's been 7 years at this point, where today, even with young kids, I've got a baby at home. My 5th kid is 4 months old. Even if I get interrupted, even if something comes up, I know I can get good sleep in a way that has me rested, mentally sharp, high cognitive ability to do hard workouts. That's been a long journey. And in order to get there, it required me to manage my relationship with alcohol, manage my relationship with other substances like caffeine, other stimulants, all kinds of things that will affect not just like general well-being, but sleep as a good foundational cornerstone of your overall wellness. And so it's substance management, adjusting and reducing really to not have anything impact my sleep. Stress management, adjusting the work that I do so that I have good fulfillment. I'm not overdoing it. I'm not taking on too much. Mindfulness and meditation, focus management, praying. I meditate daily, which has really had a big impact on my ability to manage my mind. And then I'll call tactical stuff like managing your liquids so you don't have to pee in the middle of the night, right? Or winding down off technology, all the tactics that make for a better night's sleep. And so those things have been a couple of years, but it's worth the effort. And, and a lot of people may feel overwhelmed if they're in the point where they have bad sleep for years. They don't know how to get out. But what I'll say is one step at a time. One little thing can lead to big things.
Yeah. And I like what you said, just, managing the things you're putting into your body. For me, being a brewery operator, that was a really hard thing for me to do because, I'm done with a busy event or done with closing the place down, and the best thing, you got your shift beer, and and usually that's coming very close to bedtime.
Yeah.
And I had to reframe that type of consumption because not only am I adding liquids in my body late at night, but I need to have better information about this. But alcohol makes you pee, for a lack of better,
for sure,
lack of scientific terms here. Alcohol makes you pee. So if you're gonna add alcohol to your close to bedtime, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
It's a recipe for it. Makes you pee. It elevates your heart rate. It elevates your heart rate over a period of time, so that 3 hours after your last drink is the peak of elevated heart rate, and whatever that mechanism that you and I can't explain that makes you have to pee.
Yeah.
And so you're a beer owner. So, and I'm a person that enjoys a drink here and there. I think we all at this point accept and understand that there's not really a healthy amount of alcohol. With that being said, a couple of drinks a week is not going to be unhealthy, and it's probably worth the pros and cons given social connection, enjoyability, all those things. And from a sleep general wellness standpoint, there's a couple things you can do. You can have limit yourself to no more than 2 drinks in a day.
Easy.
No more than a couple days a week.
Yep.
And then the big thing that we're talking about right now is not too close to bedtime. So if you can figure out how to have your drinks more than 3 hours before bedtime, it will substantially improve, or it will lessen the impact of alcohol on your sleep. So that's just like a really good tactical thing to understand.
That's a nice thing about being a brewery owner as opposed to a bar owner, is we get to close a little earlier and we can justify promoting, healthier consumption from a timely standpoint. We're not trying to stay open late so that you can drink late. We might stay open late so you can watch, the Timberwolves or the Twins or the Vikings or something with our sporting event. But it's more or less to create that community aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because you're right, there are benefits to the communal aspect of alcohol consumption. And what we are trying to do here at the brewery is maybe substitute that alcohol for something else. Maybe it's CBD seltzer, maybe it's THC seltzer, maybe it's hot water, maybe it's sparkling water. The cessation of hand to mouth while conversing is likely what excites people, but it doesn't need to be just alcohol.
Yeah,
we can find balance in that.
Yeah,
and pick your battles. Pick in the future when you're going to have alcohol. I like to build days in between where I'm having what I call, I like to have perfect days. Perfect days where I'm not having, sweets. I'm not having fried food. I'm not having alcohol. I think cannabis is a tool for me, so I don't look down on that. Mm-hmm. But I still, it's still good to just take little breaks.
Yeah.
And all those things.
It's great to have little breaks. And that, a part of a perfect day for me, this is a good segue back into the concept of community. Part of a perfect day for me is deep connection with people that I'm close with, who I love.
Yeah.
And, quickly back to me having my pain or going south in life was also coincided with what will be common for people who have young kids and are building companies or just building a career. Is over the previous years, I had let personal friendships and time with friends and loved ones decline to the point that I got divorced.
Damn.
And I also had, in my first business, CrossFit, it's a very community-based thing. My whole social life and community was built into that, and it was awesome. As I phased out, that went away. So I found myself without deep friendships that I nurture in a way like you and I have now.
Yeah.
I didn't have much of that. And that is another factor that I would plug into how I've figured out how to have a better, more enjoyable life with good sleep and better health. I prioritize time with friends. Even with 5 kids and my own business, I and my partner, we prioritize it, and we know it's important because it's as important as exercise or hydrating, all those top things you hear.
Yep.
Connection.
Oh, let's talk more a little about connection after we connect in that coolish water out there.
Thank God. I didn't want to break first. It's time.
All right, let's do this.